Hello students, welcome to the B.B.A 5th semester business law class. So, the previous class we had started the study of the specific contracts, and the first contract we have studied is about the contract of indemnity. Now we will move to the next one, here the contract of guarantee. So here is the main question from your examination point of view. Here, define contract of guarantee and bring out the distinction it with the contract of indemnity. So that is the most important question. 10 marks question can be asked in the examination. Or another one is here, explain the rights of the surety. Explain the rights of the surety. This is another question for 10 marks. Define contract of guarantee and state the rights of the surety. This is another question. 2 marks. Here I will be explaining to you here which will be the 2 marks there. So first, today what we will do is study the definition of this and who and the name of the parties involved in this, the nature of this, here the contract, and then the types of guarantee we will be seeing it, and then we will move to here the important here the elements of the contract of guarantee. Followed by that, here we will be studying the distinction, and then we will be noting the rights of the surety. Like this we will be studying that. So the contract of guarantee here is explained in section 126. So a contract of guarantee is a contract. So remember, it is a contract. See these words. It is a contract to perform the promise or discharge the liability of a third person. Discharge the liability of a third person in case of his default. In case of his default. So 3 important aspects. It is a contract to perform here the promise or discharge the liability of a third person in case of his default. So this is just what we mean by the term here, the guarantee as explained in section 126. But it will be more clear for you when we take here an example. For example, X here borrows 5,000 rupees here from Y, and Z assures Y that X will here return it. If he commits the default, Z will pay to Y. This is what is the contract done. X has taken 5,000 rupees from Y. This contract is here guaranteed by or assured by Z. In case of the default of X, here Z will pay to Y. So this is what the contract of guarantee is. So where here mainly the promise is made by Z. What he has promised, in case of he will mainly in case of the default of X, he will mainly reimburse Y. That is what the Z has promised. So a contract to perform the promise or discharge the liability of third party. So he is actually the third party for Z. He is the third party, and to discharge the liability of this person which has come here to Y. So that is what we have got mainly on the default of this person. So X has to commit the default here, and then if X repays that 5,000, there is no question, just it is an assurance given. Z need not discharge it, but there must be default by X. He must commit the default, he fails to pay that 5,000, and then Z liability comes and he has to discharge the liability of X. So here he has to fulfill this for which he has given the promise. That is what we call it as the contract of guarantee. It is a contract. So when this word is used, it is a contract, it should fulfill all the essentials of the valid contract. All the essentials of the valid contract, what we have in section 10 of the Contract Act must be fulfilled here. So the essentials of the contract here has to be fulfilled, and we have to see that here mainly that assurance is there, and the discharge of the mainly the liability arises only in the case of the default there. The default has to take place, and then only the liability arises on the guarantor there. So there are three parties involved in contract of guarantee. So we can find X, Y, Z. Three parties are there. So who is X? Here a specific name is given to him. X is the principal debtor. X is the principal debtor. He has borrowed the money. He is the debtor. He has borrowed from Y. So he is called as the principal debtor, one who has taken the debt. And the person who has given the money is called as the creditor. He is the Y is the creditor here. And Z is the surety. He has given the surety to Y that in case of default of X, he will discharge the liability. So he is called as surety or guarantor. So X is principal debtor, Y is the creditor, and Z is the surety. So there are three parties in a contract of guarantee. There are three parties in the contract of the guarantee. Here mainly principal debtor, creditor, and the guarantor. And this contract, the contract of guarantee, is also having here three contracts in it. There are three contracts. The first contract is between X and Y. That is the contract of debt. Here this is the first contract what we have got. Second contract is between Y and Z. That is the assurance given to here Y. Mainly in case of his default, there will be a repayment. So there is another contract which we call it as the hidden contract or the secret contract. This third contract is between the principal debtor and the surety. That is the contract of indemnity. So that is once Z discharges here the liability which is actually to be discharged by X. He has committed the default and he has discharged it, and he has paid it to Y. Now it is the duty of the X to indemnify Z. So this is the hidden contract. So there are totally three contracts. So hence contract of guarantee is usually known as the triangular contract. It is made of mainly the three contracts. So the contract between principal debtor and the creditor, first contract between the creditor and the surety, second contract between the principal debtor and the surety, here the third contract. So it is a triangular contract. Three parties, three contracts are there here. And once the principal debtor commits the default, the surety is required to discharge it to the creditor. So then the liability comes on surety. He has to discharge it. But after discharging it, he can here claim the indemnification or reimbursement from the principal debtor. Because Z here the surety steps into the shoes of the creditor, and what are the rights of the creditor? Against the principal debtor, he will be getting it, and he can claim the indemnification. So that indemnification is there. So it is a triangular contract, and it should fulfill all the essentials of the contract. So this is given in section 126, the definition of the contract of guarantee or the contract of surety. And this contract, mainly the contract of guarantee, we have got two types. The two types of mainly the guarantee. The first one is express guarantee. Either it will be in written form or in the oral form. It is an express. Yeah, that is either it is given in the written form or it is in the oral form. They are called as the express guarantee. So the guarantor expresses it through the writing, or he orally assures it. For example, usually in the commercial world, what we have on here, when mainly the money transaction takes place and which is assured by the third person, it is only by the words spoken. That is there in the commercial world. Every time it will be not put into the writing. Here, that is what we call it as, it may be orally. But when you go to a bank, here a person borrows from the bank. So he is the principal debtor. Here, for example, A borrows from the bank here 1 lakh rupees. So A is the principal debtor. The bank is the creditor. And the bank takes an assurance of a third person C, here who is the surety. So there it will be put in the writing and he puts the signature there. So these are very simple contracts which in day-to-day life we come across. So that is what either in written form or the oral form it may be. The another type is the specific guarantee. It may be a specific guarantee. Specific guarantee is given, that is the guarantee given to a specific, here mainly the act. For example, here this is an example of the specific guarantee. X has borrowed here mainly from Y 5,000 rupees and Z has assured it. It is only to that mainly the act it is the assurance is given. Here, if X has borrowed earlier, that is not applicable for Z. Only to this, it is a specific one. Specific assurance, it is to a specific act, a specific promise, the guarantee is given. That is what we call it as the specific guarantee. Or it may be continuing guarantee. This may be a question in your examination. What is a continuing guarantee? You must know. So, the guarantee is for mainly a series of acts, series of transactions. It is not only for one act. Now for example, here M says to N, M here mainly says to N, that is mainly M says to N that you should give here mainly the grocery for a period of 6 months, here the grocery on credit monthly basis. For continuously 6 months credit, here you should give on a monthly basis, it will be paid. So N requests, N is the dealer, he agrees provided there is an assurance. M here mainly ask O to give the assurance. So the O gives the assurance to this transaction. It is not for a specific act, it is for continuous, because here, so in the month of January this is made. When January ends in February, here M has to make the payment. Monthly payment it is there, it is for 6 months. So once the monthly payment is made, the surety doesn't end. It is up to 6 months. It is continuous to a series of transactions. It goes on continuing up to 6 months. So if in any middle there is a default committed by M for the non-payment, here then O is liable to discharge that liability. Up to 6 months the guarantee is there. It is for not one transaction. Monthly he has agreed to pay it, but it will be the guarantee here mainly for, he has asked the here credit monthly wise will be the payment, and he has asked it for 6 months. 6 months the assurance is given by O there. So it is not for one contract, it is for series of mainly the transactions. So such assurance contract are called as a continuing guarantee. It continues to here the mainly various transactions. So it is not for a single transaction. If it is for single, it is specific. If it is for series, it is continuing. So usually in your examination, you may get a question, what is a continuing guarantee? What you mean by the continuing guarantee? So the continuing guarantee here is mainly, it is the guarantee is given to the series of transaction and not a single transaction. If it is single, it is specific, and if it is for series, it is continuing. It continues there. In middle, if there is any default, then the surety will be liable there. So like this we have got these types. Here the express guarantee, specific guarantee and a continuing guarantee. These are the mainly the types of the guarantees. And if a transaction here is assured by more than one guarantor, here then mainly those are all together the guarantors or the sureties are called as here the co-sureties. Now for example, X and Y the contract is there which is assured by Z. So he is a single person. Now along with Z, if there is mainly W also. W is there, V is there. So there are three guarantors who have assured this transaction. So these are all called as the co-sureties. If there are more than one surety here in a transaction who have assured that mainly the transaction, they are called as co-sureties. This is the word used, co-sureties. If the co-sureties are more than one, we use the word co-sureties. So this is how mainly you have to know the meaning of this contract of guarantee. the types of contract of guarantee. Then here we will be studying. So once you know this, you will be going to study here what is the distinction between contract of indemnity and contract of guarantee. That will make you more clear with the meaning of guarantee. Once you understand the difference between these two contracts, indemnity and guarantee, here it will be more clear, and later we will be speaking on the rights of the sureties there. And in the rights of the sureties, here usually you will be having a caselet. I will be discussing the caselet there. So here this you remember today what we have discussed is the definition of the contract of guarantee, who are the parties to the here the known in the contract of guarantee, and the types of the contract of guarantee we have studies, and who are co-sureties we have also known about this fact. In the next class I will continue with the distinction between contract of indemnity and contract of guarantee. That aspect we will continue in the next class.